Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a fantastic new presentation. Now, I should have done the thing where it automatically mutes all participants, and I suspect I did not do so. So if you have not muted yourself, by golly, if you could do so, that would be just the bee's knees. We would absolutely appreciate that. So thank you so much. Today, Mr. Brian, seen here, and myself will be discussing the picture books of 2020 that gave us, in the words of Oprah, particular great joy, as I say. And sorry, I got muted there for a second. Fun. So I am Betsy Bird. I am the Collection Development Manager of Evanston Public Library. Brian, could you unmute yourself there? There you go. Brian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Brian Wilson. I'm a children's librarian at the Evanston Public Library, and I love picture books, and I've been doing this presentation for a long time. Betsy joined the team a few years ago, and she gave a shout out without knowing me. She once gave a shout out to my Best Picture Books presentation, and when she joined the team, I asked her if she wanted to be part of the Best Picture Books presentation, and she said, sure, yay. And so, and also on this call is Martha Meyer and Rick Kinnebrew. They were instrumental in initially starting, Rick Kinnebrew especially was initially like, first starting this Best Picture Books presentation. I used to do it for a group called Anne's Book Club, which was a group of home daycare providers and preschool teachers. And it kind of blossomed, it grew into what we're doing today. So, you know, and I think Anne might be on this call. I think Anne actually might be on this call. So it's really cool.
Cool. So how we're going to do it this morning is Mr. Brian is going to present his books first, and then I am going to present my books. We might have a little time for questions afterwards. So if you have any questions during the course of this presentation, feel free to put them in the chat, and we will try to get to them at the end. But yeah, let me do that fun thing where you share your screen and everything goes perfectly well because, you know, technology is our friend. So let me give that a shot. 1 second. Share that thing. Here's the presentation. Doesn't it look pretty? And let me see if I can actually find the real presentation so that I can. There we go. Let's present that puppy. See if it actually works in this stuff here. All right. Mr. Brian, why don't you take it away?
Thank you so much. And first, I want to thank everyone for being part of this on this Saturday morning. It's so great to see everyone. There are a lot of local people in the Chicago area, Evanston area, lots of school librarians and home daycare providers and preschool teachers I know in the area who are joining. Also, I have friends from all over the country who have joined. So it's kind of cool to see everybody. I appreciate it. I also want to do a special thank you to Martha Meyer for helping us today. To Jill Schachter for doing great promotion on this program, and also to Betsy also just for being an amazing collaborator and a calm collaborator. I was having Zoom issues right up to the last minute, so which is fun. Zoom is really my friend. I really love Zoom. But anyway, Zoom is bringing us all together, which is great. I also want to give a shout out to the local and independent bookstores in the Chicago and Evanston area. A lot of these can give you some gift ideas. In Evanston, we have Booked, which is Evanston's very own very own children's bookstore. And also we have Bookends and Beginnings. In the Chicagoland area, we have Semicolon, which is a Black-owned bookstore. We have Women and Children First, the legendary Women and Children First. We also have Bookseller on a Bridge and 57th Street Books, which are great independent bookstores. All right, but now let's get to the books. All right, so these are some of my very favorite books of 2020. This year has been a year, and I'm so happy to be able to celebrate these books and talk about them, to get the word out about them, because they're absolutely wonderful. And one theme that you're going to see throughout these books is empathy. These are books filled with a lot of empathy and heart, and some use humor, some use real biting social activism, but they all have a thing about treating each other better, but not doing it in a way that's overly like, pound, pound, pound. But these books really are about heart and empathy. First one is The Barnabas Project, illustrated and written by the Fan brothers with Devin Fan. Usually it's two Fan brothers, Eric and Terry. They live in Canada, but they are eligible for the Caldecott because they were born in the United States. They tell a story so epic this time, they needed to bring in a third Fan brother, Devin Fan. And the Barnabas Project is about a little elephant mouse hybrid that lives deep, 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 deep in an underground lab. And on the little bell jar, the Barnabas lives in a bell jar, the word fail has been stamped. And Barnabas is anything but a failure. The scientists have deemed Barnabas a failure. And Barnabas discovers a way to get the other little creatures out of the lab. And this turns into an epic adventure. It's actually kind of longer than a lot of picture books. And it's just done in this beautiful cinematic style. We're going into the lab. We watch the animals escape. I don't know if people can see me. We watch them escape. They go through the pipes, and the artwork is absolutely stunning in this book. Just absolutely beautiful, and it's an adventure. It's like an adventure. Here's like a thing of pipes. Like you can see them kind of going through the pipes to get out of the lab, and they burst out into the street. And burst into the store, this corporate store that's selling all these products that are Barnabas related. It's just a really powerful book, really an excellent adventure. And they are just, if you don't know the Fan brothers, they did The Night Gardener, Ocean Meets Sky, The Antlered Ship. They are just absolutely just great artists. Okay.
Brian,
yes.
Brian, folks are asking if you could provide age ranges for the book.
Oh, sure, of course. Okay, of course. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, age ranges. I would say this, I would say like age 4 and up on this one, going up to like, I would say grades 3, 4. I mean, I think picture books are for older kids too. So this has a lot of graphic novel elements. So I think older kids would really like it a lot. But yes, I would say in terms of younger, like probably like age 4 and up. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, so basically these titles are mostly going to be in alphabetical order by title. However, this one I'm cheating a little bit, and it's a double feature, 2 illustrated by Cosby A. Cabrera. Cosby A. Cabrera lives in Evanston, Illinois, and she had 2 beautiful books out this year. The first one is Exquisite, and this is the poetry and life of Gwendolyn Brooks. This is actually written by Suzanne Slade, who lives in the Chicagoland area. Cosby did the illustrations. I would say probably grades 2 and up. I think younger kids can still enjoy it too, but I think like grades 2 and up. Cosby what she does is they take the story of a young Gwendolyn Brooks, and they talk about how she fell in love with poetry and how she wanted to become a poet. And what Cosby does is that she does expressionism in this. So the illustrations, like when Cosby starts loving poetry, she's getting older, for example, and she's blowing out the candles and she's thinking about her poems and words. There's this almost expressionistic drawing of the pages flying through the air. And she's coupled with like kind of more realistic shots. But like here she's writing a lot of poems, so she's kind of like in a big circle here. You see multiple Gwendolyn Brookses. And what I love about this book is that it shows how her love for poetry comes, like looking lovingly up at her father who loves to read poems. It shows her like climbing mountains of books because she loves reading books. It's just such a great book, and a beautiful tribute to Gwendolyn Brooks. I got to see Gwendolyn Brooks read twice, and I really feel that this book captures the energy of Gwendolyn Brooks's of her power. Also, Cosby did a book called Me and Mama, and this was put out by Deneen Milner Books. Deneen Milner she has these great imprints focusing on like Black families and Black joy. And Me and Mama it's a seemingly simple book about a day in the life of a girl and her mama. And they wake up, they have breakfast, they talk about the differences, like one, like mama eats in this big bowl filled with blueberries. The little girl likes to eat in a little bowl and she likes bananas, and it gets into concepts like colors. Okay, I have someone on the phone trying to get into your, Martha, there's a note saying that somebody's trying to get into the Zoom meeting. I sent an email to you and to Jan about with the login information. So that would be great if somebody can try to get in. Thanks so much. Okay, but basically it's just a day in a life, gets into colors and concepts, and it's just a really great book, a really great slice of life book. I would say this is for like ages 4, maybe ages 3 and up, ages 4 and up. And it's just a great book. And Cosby did such a beautiful job with the illustrations. All right, next book is Danby Leads the School Parade by Anna Kim. This book is a really wonderful own voices story. And basically it's about a girl. She's from South Korea. She comes to school and none of the words, like she doesn't recognize the words. She doesn't recognize, she's trying to play with the kids. The kids are kind of ignoring her. And she's trying to find out a way to play with them and have friends. I love the way she finds a very child-friendly way to connect with the kids. It starts involving her food, but also then music. And she starts tinging on her, oh, there I am, hello. And then she starts tinging on the bowl, and she starts making music, and she, as the title said, leads a school parade. This is for like preschool and up. It's really just a charming book. I love the way Anna Kim does the illustrations, how fluid they are, how warm they are. And you really start, cheering on Danby, and, you could see the connection. And I'm a big music fan, so I love the fact that music brings everybody together in this book. So Danby Leads the School Parade. All right. Okay, the next book is Facts versus Opinions versus Robots. Okay, one of the things about this year, not to mention something sad, is that I stopped doing in-person story times in March. And I really, really miss them. I do some Zoom story times with groups, and I've done some videos. With the uploaded videos, you can't really, with publishers, you can't really do a lot of video, like books and uploaded videos because of copyright. Facts versus Opinions versus Robots was one of the last books I was doing before we stopped doing in-person story times. On a really fun topic, this book is incredible in describing the concept of facts versus opinions. I like how it does, it uses these very fun, brightly colored robots. And this is for ages 3 and up. 3-year-olds were getting this book when I was reading it to them. And basically it goes through the concept of fact and opinion, and it says here is a blue robot, a red robot, and a yellow robot. There are actually more words on the page, but I'm just kind of basic down. And that is true. We have a blue robot, a red robot, and a yellow robot. And then it asks the question, which one is more fun? And the kids will we have the blue robot, the yellow robot, the red robot. That is an opinion. And it goes through that. And I think that adults actually kind of need to hear the differences between facts and opinions. And so it's basically, it goes through this concept and it does it in a beautiful way. The robots start arguing over what is best and over what is the greatest and all this other stuff. And the kids start going, no, robots, no, that's an opinion and that's a fact. And it's just really beautiful. Michael Rex did the art and the words in the book. He just does a great job showing the concept. All right. Okay, the next book is Hike by Pete Oswald. This is like my favorite cover of the year. I love the father and child climbing the word hike. And Pete Oswald, you probably know from like the Jory John books like Good Egg, Bad Seed, you know, those books are very, very popular. This one, he's solo. It's a wordless book. I love the fact that the child is never identified by gender. The child could be, you know, any gender in this story. But basically it's about a parent and a child going on a hike, and they're on a mission. You find out what they're going to do. They're going all the way up this mountain to do something, and it starts off with the morning, and it goes through the whole day. Like they get into the camper, they go up, you know, they get into a little snowball fight, and the artwork is very cinematic. And I'm a big, if you've heard me talk about picture books, I'm really into picture books as cinema. I really believe that illustrators are film directors and cinematographers. And I, you know, really believe the best picture books are like little movies. So we kind of go into the woods. We have overhead shots from the side, and you find out what their mission is. And I can tell you, it's to plant a little tree. And I love that whole like connection with nature. I love the little moments along the way. They see bugs, they see butterflies, fresh air, you know, you can sense it. What I really like about this book is when I go hiking, I mean, I really feel like this gives you a sense of like what it feels like to be on a hike, and the smells and the sounds and how peaceful it can be. And that's Hike. And I would say easily like ages, like preschool and up. Okay. All right, my next book is Honeybee, The Busy Life of Apis mellifera. This is written by Candace Fleming, and oops, a little reflection on the book there, and because of the glittery paper, and illustrated by Eric Roman. Eric Roman received a Caldecott Award for My Friend Rabbit a long time ago. They teamed up on a book called Giant Squid a few years ago. I would say preschool and up on this. I think that, and also older kids, I would say like 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. The illustrations in this book are so realistic that when we had a staff meeting or we got together to talk about books that we wanted to make on our 101 great books list, some people at the table were like, no, my gosh, these are too realistic. I love how Eric Roman shows the bee emerging from the cell at the start. We start seeing little pieces of the bee. We see the eyes, the antenna, the fuzz. Now, when you look at this book, think about the fuzz, think about the fur, and how Eric drew like every single little strand of hair on this little bee. It is incredible. We get this kind of like really, I know this kind of doesn't do it justice. This is science book writing at its best. I love the art. I love that it takes us inside the hive, and we get the like what the shadows must be like and the colors. But Candace's writing in this is incredible because all along she tells you what the little bee does, the different tasks, the different jobs, the different things the bee has to do to get through, you know, to work basically. All the way through, Candace teases you by saying this bee is going to fly. So you could, is the bee ready for flying? Not yet. The bee has to do this task. Is the bee ready for flying? No, not yet. The bee has to do this task. And wow, we're kind of like nose to nose with the bee there. So, and finally, when you get, this will not, being kind of in this little square here, this little square, when you finally do get the moment when the bee flies, it turns out to be this amazing epic moment where the page kind of way opens up, and it's just incredible, like when the bee does fly. The bee's life is very short. You actually kind of feel a little tender sadness at the end when the bee passes away. Spoiler alert, sorry, but I love the warmth. I love the way Eric and Candace give Apis a very dignified tribute. All right. The next book is I Am Every Good Thing. This is written by Derek Barnes and illustrated by Gordon C. James. This book is so powerful. It's a follow-up to their book called Crown and Ode to the Fresh Cut. And I would say I'm Every Good Thing, I would say preschool and up, very like ages 3 and 4 and up. I'm Every Good Thing, when I go to a lot of panels, when I listen to authors and illustrators talk, people from communities will say, like the Black community, will say that when they were growing up, they did not see themselves in books. And I Am Every Good Thing and Crown and Ode to the Fresh Cut, Derek Barnes and Gordon C. James really talk about how their sons still don't see themselves in books. And so with I Am Every Good Thing, that is Gordon C. James's son. He drew him, his son has autism, and he wanted to see himself on the cover of a book. So Gordon put him on the cover of a book. And there he is, looking really mighty, looking very proud. And, and he is every good thing. The book starts off with these wonderful end papers with all these great Black boys. And it starts off on a somber note. It mentions the names of boys who fell in, who became victims of police brutality and systemic racism. Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, others. And then through mixes of expressionism and realism, it shows boys doing extraordinary things, like flying through the air like a superhero. I love the expression on his face. Just having, like, being outside, playing with snowballs. And I love the language in this book. I have to take my glasses off. I'm every good thing that makes the world go round, like gravity or the glow of moonbeams over a field of brand new snow. I am good to the core, like the center of a cinnamon roll. Yeah, that good. And it's just very, like, shown skateboarding. It just kind of more of an expressionistic thing, like looking in a microscope, dreaming of being in outer space. This book is really just a powerful tribute to goodness and to finding inner strength and finding out that you are every good thing. Okay, the next book is Lift. This is by Min Lei, illustrated by Dan Santat. And Lift is an interesting, it's a graphic novel style approach. I would say probably, I feel like preschoolers could probably get into this book, could easily relate to this book. It is a little longer, but basically it's about a girl who loves pushing the buttons on an elevator. You know how kids love to do that. She has a younger sibling. Oh, there she is, looking in awe up at the elevator buttons. She has a younger sibling who is starting to feel like, oh, I should be the one pushing the buttons. And that happens. And there's an act of betrayal when the younger sibling pushes the button. And Iris is like, no! Dan Santat is a brilliant comedic illustrator. He also does more than comedy too. He can do almost anything. He can do everything. Not almost everything, he can do everything. But he's really good at comedy, and he's really great at facial expressions and his body language, and just this moment where the little sibling has pushed the button is really happy, and then you see the girl like, I just love that. Basically, the plot is basically there is a discarded former elevator button. There's a elevator button that's been discarded, and the little girl finds the discarded elevator button, and it turns out to be magic. She puts it up on her bedroom wall, and she can go different places by pushing this elevator button. It takes her into the wood, the jungle, out into outer space. Ooh, yeah, there's the jungle scene. It's just a really great book, done in a graphic novel style. You almost don't want it to end. It's just such a great book. All right. The next book is Old Rock is Not Boring by Deb Paluti. This actually gets into, when you get past the kind of jokey title, this actually kind of gets into ageism and gets into, and I would say preschool and up, because The Rock seems like there are all these other characters, a little hummingbird and a butterfly and a beetle, and they're like, gosh, you just sit there, Old Rock. You don't do anything. You know, you're stationary. Your life is just kind of like you're just sitting there watching the world go by. But it turns out when Old Rock starts talking, Old Rock has had quite a life. And oh yeah, I know, isn't it great? Somebody just wrote, "I love Old Rock," and I just think it kind of shows you how Old Rock was part of the Ice Age. It got stuck in a glacier and ended up kind of getting like taken from one place to another. It was part of a volcano, so it kind of got blown out of a volcano, then rolled down the hill. And when the other characters hear this, they start going, "Wow, you know, you had quite a life. You had a mastodon sit on you. You hung out with the dinosaurs, you know." And you find out that the Old Rock, you know, you shouldn't judge people or rocks. You know, you should realize that they probably have a history to them, and this book really does a great job. This was also pre-lockdown for me. I was actually reading this book in classes in February, and the kids loved it. I would say like ages 4 and up would really like this book a lot. Okay. Okay, the next book is, is A Place Inside of Me, A Poem to Heal the Heart by Dr. Zeta Elliott and illustrated by Noah Denman. This book is such a powerful book. I would say, again, like I feel like, you know, ages 4 and up, maybe, I think that it's just so direct and so honest. I think younger kids would get this. I think older kids would really also relate to this book. I think you could share this book with, like, even going into like middle school and even older. I feel like adults should read this book. This book is very much, it's again about different emotions and feelings that a lot of Black young people are feeling today, with images of systemic racism and issues with the police, and going on, like seeing it on the news, and just the way the world is right now, how it affects them. And it starts off, there is a place inside around you might not have this compassion, but you know that deep inside of you, you have this compassion. It's Noah Denman's artwork is absolutely beautiful in it. I love this overhead shot of the boy on the skateboard. Black Lives Matter. Shout out to Philadelphia. Just this kind of, and I love how the art matches the text. And this is a talk about the joy inside, so you see moments of joy, and then sorrow. You see horrible news story going on about a girl who was shot, and everybody reacting to it. The body language and the words just match beautifully. So this is just a really powerful book. We're really fortunate because Dr. Elliott has moved to the Evanston area. So welcome to Evanston. And so this book is just really powerful. Okay, next book is A Polar Bear in the Snow. And the next slide is coming. Well, I can keep talking about it. So let's see. Whoops. There we go. Okay, and the next book is A Polar Bear in the Snow by Mac Barnett And the art is by Sean Harris. I don't know if I want to wait to see if the slide advances.
Brian, we can see the slide.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's frozen. For some reason, it's frozen on the previous book. Okay, but A Polar Bear in the Snow. This is by Mac Barnett, and it's the art is by Sean Harris. I wanted to give a special shout out to Sean Harris because this year he had another book out called Everyone's Awake, which was written by Colin Malloy, who's a rock singer. And that was such a different book. It was so incredibly different. And because it had like these oranges and yellows and showed this family inside a house kind of doing wacky things. Polar Bear Inside the Snow is basically all whites and blacks. And what I love about this book is it touches on climate change. It touches on the life of a polar bear, and it does it in a way that is intriguing. And I would say like preschool and up easily. You know, you can probably even go down to age 2 on this book. The polar bear emerges from the snow, and all the way through the book, Mac Barnett is asking, where's the bear going? Is the bear doing this? No. And there's a subversive moment where a man shows up. Is the bear here to see the man? The bear's like, no, and roars at the man, rah, you know, because, you know, he doesn't want to see the man. Is he hanging out with the seals? No, not hanging out with the seals. So, but it just kind of, it keeps you going. I'm really into page turns. I really love the way Mac Barnett creates this mystery about where the bear is going, and it's a satisfying mystery. So I just really think this is just a really powerful, seemingly simple little book that shows the glory and beauty of polar bears. All right, next book is Salma, the Syrian Chef. And this is written by Danny Ramadan, and the art is by Anna Braun. And Salma the Syrian Chef, Danny Ramadan is a real activist. He's from Syria. He lives in Vancouver. He works with families from all around the world, like refugee families who've moved to Vancouver. Salma tells a very, very kid-friendly story. I would say probably this is like kindergarten and up, just because it starts getting into like family sadness and a mother who's sort of depressed, but then the Salma does save the day and does help the mother. Salma and her mom now live in Vancouver, and they hang out in a welcome center with all these people who help the families. The mother is still really, really sad. The father hasn't come over yet. So Salma decides to make the mother's favorite recipes, to learn how to cook and to bring a taste of Syria to Vancouver. Her attempts are this is one of those try again books. It does teach her that she has to keep trying. And what she does is, maybe not perfect for her mother by the end of the book, but it really means so much. And the community comes together and helps Salma with her goals. So this is a beautiful book about community, a beautiful book about people from all around the world helping each other. And Salma is just such a lovable protagonist. You can't help but cheer her on. And I love the art in this book, how it, the different, like the body language and showing the situation in emotional terms. It's just a great book. All right. Next book is This Old Dog. And this is by Martha Brokenbrough. And it's illustrated by Gabriel Albaroso. And this book is really charming. And I would say preschool and up. And I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older and I'm just starting to like old rock and old dog. I don't know. It's just like I feel like this old dog. The dog is basically a character who's slowing down a little bit, and the world is still speeding around the dog, and the dog is like, life is just too fast. I just want to go on walks where I get to stop and smell everything, and just, but then I'm being dragged on a leash and I'm being, taken everywhere. but basically, I love the artwork in this book, and I love how we get into the dog's inner psyche, and the dog just wants peace. And the dog finds an unlikely, not an unlikely, but a very likely possibly, but it's at first not like doesn't seem like it's going to be likely, friend with a new toddler. And the toddler is learning how to walk. And so the toddler actually moves slowly too. So they have this connection of like moving slower, one young, one older, and they become friends. And it's done in this way. I just love like here's the girl flapping her wings and the dog's watching. I just love the expressions in this book. I love the connection in this book, and it's just such a great story. Martha Brokenbrough cracks me up. This is a side note. She has a note on her author's page that she's not there to do your homework for you. So do not go to her page asking for her to do your homework for you. So anyway, so that's just a thing. Don't ask her to do your homework. All right, next book is The Three Billy Goats Buenos by Susan Middleton Elia. And this is illustrated by Miguel Orgañez. Sorry about that, Miguel. And this book starts off as a fairly standard Three Billy Goats gruff version. It's bilingual. You have Spanish words mixed in throughout the story. What I love about this book, and I don't mean to spoil it for everyone, what I love about this book is that it suddenly becomes an Androcles and the Lion tribute. That this giant troll who's causing trouble for the Billy Goats Buenos, actually has a bit of a problem involving a thorn in the foot. So I like the two meshing. That kind of brought the book up for another level for me. I would say preschool and up easily. It's a fun story. It's just the artwork is a blast. Yeah, this is just a really fun retelling. And next one is We Are Water Protectors by Carol Lindstrom, illustrated by Michaela Goad. And We Are Water Protectors is about the indigenous-led movements, like environmental movements against the pipelines. And the artwork in this book is just stunning. The fluid watercolors and just the way the swirling imagery, and it talks about water and our connection with water, how water's inside of us, we should be protecting the water. It's just absolutely beautiful. I love that when she's becoming an activist and she's fighting the black snake, which is like the black pipeline. You see her learning, and then there's the black snake, and then kind of standing down, like standing up to the black snake. This book is own voices. It's just really beautifully done. I have an early prediction that this actually might get some Caldecott attention, some Caldecott love. I just think the artwork is just so good in it. We Are Water Protectors. I would say probably, grades K and up on it. Probably some younger kids could read it and get a lot out of it as well. Okay, I just have two more quick ones here. Welcoming Elijah, A Passover Tale with a Tale by Leslie Newman, illustrated by Susan Gall. And this is a story about where a boy is going through the Passover Seder, and it's intercut with outside the house where the Seder is going on, there's a little cat. So there's a connection between what the boy is doing at the dinner to what the cat is doing outside. This is a very diverse, modern Jewish family. People who look like they're, just all very different. They're not just the same stock cutout person sitting at the table. But the cat's outside, the boy's inside, and there's this wonderful twist at the end where at the end of the Seder, when you open up the door to welcome Elijah, usually it's a child who opens the door to welcome Elijah. The boy does it, and the cat's there, and they let the cat in the house, and they name the cat Elijah. It's just this. The illustrations are warm, cozy. it's just a beautiful story. I just think Leslie Newman is just such a great author. And finally, for me, whoa, thank you for so much for listening. Is Your Name is a Song, and this is by Jamila Tompkins Bigelow, and it's illustrated by Lisa Uribe. And this book is about a little girl who goes to school, and I would say, oh yeah, Welcoming Elijah, I would say easily preschool and up. Your Name is a Song, definitely preschool and up, probably ages 4 and up. She goes to school. The kids can't pronounce her name. They not only can't pronounce her name, they kind of sometimes make fun of her name. They pretend to be choking. They pretend that her name is scary. And her mother tells her that her name is a song, and she teaches her that her name is beautiful, that she she should embrace her name. What I love about this book, what I really love about this book, is all the names are spelled out phonetically by the end. So even like Ms. Anderson is the name of the teacher, and the teacher in this is a little like, don't tell me what to say, or she's not very nice to the lead little girl. But I love how they spell out Ms. Anderson, or the name Bob, like Bob, they put it out phonetically. I like how it shows kids that every name, a child might have to learn your name, or like how to learn how to pronounce. My name is Brian, and I've had to teach people how to say Brian, So I just love how this book really gives her self-empowerment. She has a strong mother who teaches her these kind words and this kind lesson, and then she's able to teach everybody. The little girl's able to teach everybody that that their names are songs too. And so it's just this really great child power story. All right. Okay, my part's done now for this, at least this part. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And now Betsy has some great books to talk about.
I do. Thank you so much, Brian. It is really super hard to follow you. But I'm going to give it my all here. And I got so many good books. I'm just so excited about them. I'll try not to take too long with them, but you should at least check them out because they're pretty cool. All right, first and foremost, we've got All Because You Matter. This is by Tammy Charles with illustrations by Brian Collier. Brian Collier, who has a couple Caldecott books under his belt. This is his latest. It is gorgeous. Now, if you look on the interwebs, you may find videos of him with the original art. Now, the art in my hand is about yay big. This image in real life would probably be about like this big. It's huge art that has sort of been consolidated down for this book. You'll notice the feather technique that he has put in there. This is sort of a quilting thing that he's put in. These are kind of quilted images. Now, this is very much a Black Lives Matter book, to the point where at one point in the book, you even see the boy in front of a Black Lives Matter mural that I believe you can see in DC. And there's much discussion of it at the end. But this is basically one of these really cool ideas where it's like, this is what matter in the universe is, and it all came down to you, and you matter. And then it is just this amazing sort of encapsulation of, history and bringing it all together to this moment now in time, and why you matter and that you matter. We've had such a dearth of books about Black boys, quite frankly. We just don't get a lot of them. And this year, we've seen a very small uptick, but it feels like, oh, we've got a flood. No, we don't have a flood. We've got a couple more than usual, but I'm so glad that they exist out there. And it's so nice and good to see them. And Collier's art, it's just stunning. This is one of his, look at the layered images here that he's put on top of one another to create the face. I mean, it's just cool to look at. I don't know. I just feel like this is some of his best work that he has ever done in his life. I believe that much like Ashley Bryan uses his mother's sewing scissors to create some of his cut paper art, in a similar way, I believe Collier used his grandmother's scissors as well to create some of this art. There's a great author's note at the end. Tammy Charles, I should say, is also a YA author. So she writes all kinds of stuff. But if you're going to pick out a book, this is not a bad one to do, all because you matter. Switching gears, possibly as far as one's gears can be switched. Friday Night WrestleFest. Okay, so I like books that do well in read aloud story times. Books with a lot of energy to them. Books that I can read with a WWF voice, because that's me. If you would like to read a book with a WWF voice, this is the one to read, because this is, okay, first of all, this is a perfect 2020 book because it's a family having fun inside. It's like, eventually we all get a little punch drunk and we start wrestling our family members. And the writing in this book is fantastic, because in this corner, we've got the dangerous Dadu. He's mad, he's bad, he's dad. And then over here, we have the Kid Crew, the Tag Team Twins, Nutty by Nature Peanut Brother, and the Wriggly Jiggly Jellyfish. So these kids are having like a WrestleFest with their dad. It's getting down and dirty. And then, mom's home. Now you would think, well, this is where the mother role would be like, everyone needs to stop. No, it's a flying mama. Mom gets into it. You know she's serious because she took off her work shoes to do it. This is so much fun. Sometimes you just want a book that is so fun to read. And this one, I could read this all day long. It is enjoyable. So, if you want to give it a shot, it's by J.F. Fox. It's illustrated by Micah Player. This is Friday Night WrestleFest. All right. I'm just going to, these are alphabetical, which is what makes for kind of weird pairings, because this is the least Friday Night WrestleFest book I could follow that up with. Brian mentioned that lovely Honeybee book. If I was a betting woman, and my name is Bets, I would say that has sure Caldecott possibilities there. I would say that about this, except the stupid book is made by a Canadian. Oh, Sydney Smith, when will you move to America and let us give you awards? So this book actually comes out, again, it's very timely, because with the election of Joe Biden, remember you've seen that video around how Joe Biden had a stutter that he had to overcome? There's a video of him talking to a kid about who has a stutter and talking to him about it. Well, this is a stuttering book, which is to say, it is written by a guy by the name of Jordan Scott. And Jordan Scott had a stutter. And this is very much his experience. The writing in this book is so good. So very good. For example, this is just how it begins. This book is running away from me. It doesn't want to be read. I wake up each morning with the sounds of words all around me. P for the pine window outside my bedroom window. C for the crow in its branches. M for the moon fading in the morning sky. I wake up each morning with the sounds of words all around me, and I can't say them all. It is about what it feels like when you are in school and the teacher is trying to make you speak in class, and you just can't. Of course, you go from the classroom looking like this to that moment where you're almost inside your own head looking out at the people, and it becomes foggy. There is shots of this where he's walking with his father on the river, and the father's pointing to the rapids, and he's saying, look, you speak like the river, you talk like the river, it's like the rushing rapids. That's what it's like for you. And the art is so good that there's a shot of the sun coming behind the tree. You find yourself squinting at it just because it's so realistic. It is beautifully written. Oh, right. I haven't been doing any ages with any of these, have I? I apologize. Okay, wait, let me back up a little bit. Beep, beep, beep. I would say ages for this, I'd say 4 to 10. I'd go so far as 10, quite frankly. 4 to 10, because it's important. This one can definitely go younger. I would say 3 to 6, 3 to 7, depending on what you do. This one's older. This one is a bit older. I would say this one's a little more 4 or 5, up to 9 even. It is an empathy book. You understand exactly what this kid is going through. And I'd go on a limb and say it's the best stuttering book we've ever had. So there you go. I said it. Come at me, other stuttering books. Yeah. My Best Friend, Julie Fogliano with Jillian Tamaki. Jillian Tamaki, who won a Caldecott honor for a YA graphic novel. Our heads exploded that year. She's come back with a couple books. This one may be my favorite picture book she's done ever. Julie Fogliano, who just apparently just perfected the art of picture book writing while we were all doing other stuff. So I don't even know. This book only has 2 colors, essentially. It has pink and green, which feels like a dare. Like, I dare you to make the most beautiful picture book you can, using only pink and green. Dare accepted. This is about how little kids, and I love this phenomenon, you take them to the playground, they meet a kid, and that kid is their best friend. Just like that. And it's about this little girl and her best friend, and they're great. And it's a book that you can actually read to older kids because it's got a kicker of a last line that the older kids, I find, really love. Because you get to this they finally have to leave the playground. And then our heroine, who's the little redheaded girl, says, I'm not sure about her name, but I will ask her tomorrow and she will tell me then, because we are best friends. It's just, I don't know. I'm definitely not charmed by twee. There's nothing twee about this. This is just cute. This is a cute, very identifiable, funny book. It's great for the younger ages. So you could read this to like a 2, 3, 4 kid. Because but you can read it for an older kid too, because the older kids kind of get the joke. It's just really great. Oh yes, and someone said, I love the pickle part of this book so much. I love the pickle part too. If you want to know what the pickle part is, you're gonna have to check out the book. Let's see. Ooh, this one's nice. All right, so Antoinette Portis. I'm doing a lot of books that Mr. Neil Porter edited. I believe this is another Neil Porter book. Yeah, it's another Neil Porter book. Neil Porter. So he's the editor on these. This is Antoinette Porter. So this is very interesting. So it's a new Green Day, and it's riddles. Essentially, it's riddles, because basically what it does is it says, I am a cool pudding on a muggy day. Let your toes have a taste. And then you have to tell the kid, all right, what are we talking about? Like, oh, mud. Yes, it's mud. It's all these like little summertime vignettes talking about what you experience outside during the summer. It is very poetic. It is very beautiful. It even has a weird, a kind of trajectory over the course of the story. It is actually a little older, I would say. It's a wonderful nature book. I would say it's a little bit on the older side, just because the riddles can get a little tricky sometimes, and kids, there's a certain kind of kid who likes a book that's clever with them. So I would actually say it's like a 4 through 7 book, probably, if I had to guess. Oh, Adam Rex had two, count them, 2 fantastic picture books out this year. I decided to only choose one for this presentation. The other one is also from Chronicle. It is called Unstoppable. I love it, but I had to go with the gum one on this one, which I should say, I did not realize there was like a Bazooka Joe-esque comic on the back. This is a lot like Oliver Jeffers' Stuck, which if you've ever seen Stuck, as I consider Oliver Jeffers' best book, this is just funny. It rhymes, which was kind of a shock to me, because the first time I read it, I didn't realize it rhymed. And then I went back through it and I was like, oh wait, if I read this aloud, it rhymes. It's about a kid. Oh, the kid got gum stuck in his or her hair. We're never given gender on this kid. This kid could go either way. So they keep trying to find ways to get the gum out. But every time they try, they're like, butter. Oh no. More and more things start getting stuck in the hair. Now, to the point where there's this wonderful moment where a bunny has gotten stuck in the hair. Now, here's the bunny. The bunny, as you can see, never changes expression the whole time. The cat has like 100 different expressions. And now the cat's up there, and this is a great part. Oh, I know what to do. It's a little bit mean, but the cat always gets really scared when I clean. Just watch, she'll run off and hide under the bed. If the vacuum comes anywhere close to your head, oh wait, no. I'm thinking of the old cat. It even has a little whir going on here. So to the point where it's got a great killer ending. I will only say about the ending of this book, look at the picture at the end and see if you can figure out why the ant has band-aids on her chin. That's all I'm going to tell you. But if you just want something ridiculous and funny, and clearly I am a huge fan of the ridiculous and the funny, as evidenced by today's books, this is the one to choose. What ages? You know, I'd say 4 to 7. It's a little more sophisticated in its humor. Not so much for the itty bitties, I'd say. Ooh, you want nature books? You want nature books? I got your nature book right here. This is your nature book. Ooh, and this one's pretty. I consider this yet another 2020 book. It is about how the outside keeps getting in. There's so many ways the outside keeps getting into our dang houses. Whether it's sunlight, whether it's little creepy crawlies in the bathroom, whether it is the wind through the cracks, the outside is always trying to remind us that it is still there. Cindy Derby, who illustrated this book, is amazing when it comes to watercolors. I like to say she's like a prettier Stephen Gamble, the guy who did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That's the style that I'm sort of saying that she has right here. She is amazing. I love her art in this book. I love the depth of her colors. I love how she accompanies Deborah Underwood, who's been making picture books for a long time, how she just accompanies this wonderful text about, look, we can't forget about the outside. We try, you know, we drive in cars and we go from the car to the house and the house to the car, and that's awfully familiar this year. But I'm here, outside says, I miss you. So when you're trying to get your kid to go on a walk and all they want to do is be playing their video games and watching their TV, this is the book that you're going to use for your defense. And it's an excellent defense. And that is Outside In. Oh, this is a good one. This came out really early in the year. Lisa Klein Ransom and James Ransom, that's one of your married couple author illustrator pairs. This is so cool, actually, because first of all, you've got this amazing end papers, right? So these end papers are basically the 4 different methods that the Great Migration happened. People walked north, people took the train, people took the bus, or people drove in their cars. Now look, overlaid over this is this cotton plant, which is just completely like covering and influencing everything. This book was the one that will teach kids that the Great Migration was very much a kind of escape, because you had sharecroppers who would be prevented from leaving if the white people knew they were trying to get away. So they would have to take the trains like really, really early in the morning to get away, basically. So it was like the Underground Railroad, but on a train. And this is just about a girl and her family. They're going to New York City. They've never been there before. They're going to try to live there from now on. And it's just about the trip on the train, about the different stops. She's reading the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, which her teacher gave her along the way. It's great art. I just love everything that these guys are producing these days. I don't know if you've seen Before Harriet, the other book that they did. So good, and it should have won all the things. This could also win all the things, and I would not object one tiny bit. So, ages 4 to 7. Again, I'm very 4 to 7 centric. I hate to tell you that. Oh, all right. We don't have many easy books or learning to read books, and a great easy book is a greatly difficult thing to make. See the Cat, 3 stories about a dog, is brilliant, but I do feel easy books are the most difficult to write. Hence, very few people do them. This is by David LaRocha, longtime picture book writer. Oh, it's illustrated by Mike Winutka, longtime illustrator of books. And basically, very simple language, beautifully simple language. See the cat. I am not a cat. I am a dog. See the blue cat. I am not blue, and I am not a cat. See the blue cat in the green dress. I do not have a green dress. The cat's name is Baby Cakes. That is not my name. My name is Max. See the blue cat in a green dress riding a pink unicorn. There is no cat. There is no dress. There is no unicorn. There is just me, Max the dog. Did you see the cat? Oh, this is a great read aloud, but it's also just a great book for kids to read on their own when they're first learning to read. Very simple language. For that reason, I would say it's 5 to 7. But you can do a story time with this, fine. The moment it had me was the moment when the cat's name was Baby Cakes, because that's just a funny name. So see the cat. Oh, Smashing Town! You're right. I'm going to physically, because we are constrained on time, I will keep myself from reading you the entire book of Smashing Town. However, I am going to allow myself to read you just one sequence. Now, if you are familiar with Trashy Town came out, 15 years ago? Smashy Town is by the same authors and illustrators. It's basically the same as Trashy Town, but better. And I mean that honestly. It's not just a construction book. This is a book that you can read aloud to anybody. Allow me to demonstrate. Go! Swing the ball, hit the wall, smash, smash, smash. Swing the ball, hit the wall, crash, crash, crash. Crumble, dumble, down goes glass. Is the demolition done? No! This is so much fun. I enjoy it thoroughly. It reads aloud to a large group of children very, very well. And as we all know, not all picture books do that very well. It is beautifully illustrated. Smashy Town. Oh, I love this guy, Corey R. Tabor. He is so talented. So, Snail Crossing is essentially the story of a snail who sees on the other side of the road a cabbage, and he's going to get to the cabbage, but he's a snail. Now it's a highway. It's not traversed that much, but it's traversed just enough so that if you're an adult like me, you are anticipating pain and sorrow. There is none. He is kind of passed by some ants at some point, but then it starts to rain. So he invites them in for tea. That's a lovely sequence. And then they, in turn, help him. It has one of my favorite jokes of all time where the rain has stopped. He's going to get it. Look at that determined snail face. That is a determined snail face. He's going to get his food. He goes, and realizes that he went the wrong way. And all the text says, so you can see he got to the middle and then turned around and went the wrong way. All the text says is, well, shoot. I love this. It makes me laugh out loud pretty much every single time. You can go pretty young with this. You could go 3 to 6, 3 to 7 with it. Snail Crossing. Ooh, I love this. I almost missed this book this year, and I was so grateful that I did get to see it. Sugar and Milk is an immigration story, but it's coupled with a fable, and I'd never heard this fable before. So a girl has moved from India to America. She's living with her aunt and uncle. She's homesick. She's sick for her family, and her aunt tells her this story. And the story is of a group of Persians who hundreds of years ago moved, they're trying to find refuge. They went over the sea and they got to India. The local king, who could not speak the language of these people, did not want them there. And so he showed them with this beautiful art, I must say, that he had filled a glass of milk all the way to the top, so it could not be filled anymore. He's like, sorry, we are all filled up. We cannot have any more people. The leader of the refugees pulls out a spoonful of sugar, takes the milk glass, and very, very gently stirs in the milk so that it completely dissolves, and hands it back, very clearly stating, without words, we are not going to make your cup overflow. We are just going to add sweetness to whatever you already have going on. The king, to his credit, thinks that is a hilarious way of proving him wrong, invites them to stay. But this art, you have to pay attention to the borders, and this is clearly done on purpose. The borders change throughout the course of the story. You have to take a look at them. And it is beautifully rendered, gorgeously told. Even the end papers, you just want to wallpaper your room in this book. It is Sugar in Milk. It is, boy, it's for it's ages 4 to 7. Again, I would say. Oh, The fact that we don't know Shinsuke Yoshitake's books by heart, all the books he does are hilariously weird and fun. There must be more than that. So this is a pretty good 2020 book too, because a girl has an older brother, and I don't know if you got kids, my kids do this all the time, where the older child is like, our future is doomed. Let me tell you what I learned in school. I learned that we're going to run out of food because there's too many people. There will be plagues and war, and there will also be alien invasions, and the earth will be destroyed. Everything's going to be terrible. Well, of course, his younger sister's going to believe him, and she immediately says to her grandmother, you have this sequence of the world ending, explaining to her grandmother what's going to happen. The adult, her brother told her this, and her grandmother's like, honey, nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. Literally nobody knows. Adults, grown-ups act like they know what's going to happen, but they do not. It says grown-ups often will tell you to choose one of two things, but if neither seems right, there are more choices over here. So her point is that anything could happen. And then the girl starts dreaming up these crazy different options for the future. Now, I'm not going to point out what some of these options look like, but it's a little bit of a weird coincidence, don't you think? Anyway, the writing is fantastic. If you've not encountered his books, I really like this one. He also did a book, I think it was called Still Stuck, about a kid who's getting the shirt on over their head and it gets stuck on their head, and then they just see for the rest of their life, that's my future. I'm just going to have this thing stuck in my head, and how am I going to find a job? And well, maybe I'll find someone else who's stuck too, and we'll fall in love and have little stuck children. And it's just I love how kids are the problem I'm having now is the problem I will always have. So if you could, by the way, also, please note that for some reason also, the kid, they've depicted children with this one blanket and all the different options of what you can do with the blanket. It is so good. I love this book. 1,000 No's. This is good. And I'll explain why. So many books for kids explain the following. Look, your idea is this perfect little gem, and people are going to tell you no, and you just ignore them and keep your perfect idea pristine and untouched. And because it's your idea, this is a dangerous idea. Because feedback is good, and sometimes no's are good. This book has gotten more negative reviews on Amazon for people being like, there is no situation in telling someone no a lot of times about their idea is good. Yeah, it's called editing. It's called editing, people. Anyone who's ever written a book knows this book tells the truth. It's about a girl, or maybe it's a girl. A girl who has an idea. Oh, that's a nice little idea. However, in the course of the book, this idea starts getting no's placed into it, and they're heavy and they don't feel good, and they start getting inside the idea and they start changing the idea, and she's very not certain what to do about this at first, and then she kind of begins to embrace it, and she starts to seek out other people's no's, and maybe these no's can be incorporated, and then she starts working with other people, and they start putting these no's together so that at the end what you end up with, the final idea, is much better than the initial idea, which needed some no's to become this yes. It is a really great metaphor. It's not one that you tend to see in picture books, because picture books very much will say, always keep your vision pure and untouched. And no, sometimes you need other people to tell you no. The book dares to say it, and I just kind of respect it. It's 1,000 No's, ages 4 to 7, as per usual. You know what I mean. Okay, here's my last one. And this is my science book. So I read this book to my kids the other day. I got a daughter who's 9. I got a son who's 6. And this is a really good pairing with Honeybee. I will tell you why. Again, you have this very realistic art, but it also really shows things very close and very far in a very cool way. And they really liked how he presented this idea, because he begins at the most realistic way possible. These kids are 8 years old. All right, with me so far? Okay. They are about 5 times as tall as this book. So you put 5 of this book together right there. That's a very concrete idea, and you equal 1 kid, right? But these kids are half as tall as an ostrich. All right, so you got two kids standing on each other would equal one ostrich. Well, the ostrich itself is half as tall as a giraffe. Okay, so you get four kids and you got almost a giraffe. It keeps going. It says, but if you had what's taller than a giraffe? A redwood. Oh, what's taller than a redwood? The mountains. What's taller than the mountains? The edge of space. And then it doesn't stop. It keeps going and going. Here's the Earth. Okay, yeah. Oh, but the Earth is tiny when you see how far it is from the moon. And then here we are in relation to the sun. And it keeps going to the point where, and this book is built to blow minds because we get to the cosmic web. And now let's just look at, here's the known universe. We can't see beyond this border. So this is as far as we've ever been able to see. So basically you've backed up as far as you can until you get right back to the kids. And the kids are left with this sort of sense of like, it blows their tiny minds. Jason Chin has always excelled at these books that combine huge realism with kind of fantasy-like elements just to prove a point. He did redwoods. He did one about the ocean, I think coral reefs. He did Grand Canyon. He's now doing the universe itself. The one before this was about birth. So he's just trying to encompass the entire experience of humanity in his literature. He likes big ideas. This is a big ideas book, and it is a super duper good one. All right, Brian, why don't you come back for the last slide here?
Hello, hi. Oh, that was excellent, Betsy. That was so cool.
Thank you.
I love those books. I love your place in the universe.
So these last books here are other ones that didn't make the cut this time, but that we really like, and we just wanted to mention them here real quick. But yeah, is there anything, I guess, are there any questions, Martha, that anyone asked that we could answer?
No, you've been answering them all along. So I think you might be able to talk about these books if you have them with you.
Oh, no, I don't have, I mean, I do have one that's with me, but it's none of these. Brian, do you have any of them with you?
Oh, I have some with me. Yeah, I do have some with me. And I want to thank everybody too. Thank you everyone for being part of this on this Saturday morning, and being, I have friends from in town and around the country, and Martha, again, Martha Meyer deserves a round of applause for helping this morning. And also Betsy, you're just such a great collaborator. So fantastic. And so yeah, I have some books to just quickly mention.
Sure.
Oh, and the comments on the chat have been so nice. Thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for all your comments and yeah, thank you. All right, some quickies, some quick ones. A is for Another Rabbit by Hannah Batzel. Hannah's local in the Chicagoland area, and this is a book about an owl who wants to get through an alphabet book, and the rabbits keep thwarting the owl's attempts. There are bunnies everywhere, rabbits popping up, and in the most clever ways. This is just a lot of fun. If you're looking for a very sweet, and I would say easily preschool and up. For young, for like really young and up, is Brown Baby Lullaby by Tamika Fryer Brown, illustrated by A.G. Ford. This is bilingual. It has a mix of Spanish and English. And basically it's just really the most adorable baby of the year, I think, all the way through, even when making a messy breakfast and dinner with spaghetti sauce all over the face. Just a really loving, it's a parenting book. It's like a loving words to a child. Just a beautiful book. Came out really early in the year, and it's really just sort of stayed with me. I want to give a shout out to Matthew Cordell. Hello Neighbor is a picture book biography about Fred Rogers. As you know, Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, was just talked about a lot these last years. This was like an authorized book. Matthew Cordell actually had access to people who worked on the show. He got to go and look at archives and look at things, and just a beautiful look at Fred Rogers. A book I don't have with me, going alphabetically here, is if you take away the otter, which at my library someone has borrowed, which is excellent. If you take away the otter is about just that. If you take the otter out of the ecosystem, evil sea urchins take over. Who knew?
Oh my gosh, the sea urchins are so scary. They're terrifying. Ugh.
Oh my God, they're so terrifying. They have teeth, and you'll have nightmares about them. But that's I would say like easily preschool and up to. But if you take away the otter, is Susanna Berman Deaver, illustrated by Matthew Truman. I had to put a sequel on here, Vamos, Let's Go Eat by Raoul III. I feel cooler after I read a Raoul III book. I just feel like he's like the coolest person ever. What's really great about this is a sequel to Vamos, Let's Go to the Market. Little Lobo has a food truck, goes in and brings food to all the wrestlers. What's really cool is there's a chapter book series now, early chapter book series with these characters. There's such a need for Latinx early chapter books. And Raul is doing it, and he's cool. He's like the coolest person. You know, you read his books and you just feel like you know, you're 100 times cooler than. And finally, for me, Who Will You Be by Andrea Pippins is a very sweet, quiet family book. And what it is it's a parent looking at a child, wondering if the child is going to grow up to be like the father who's like this, or the aunt who's an activist, or the sister who's a dancer, or the and we need family stories. We're always asked for family stories, and this is like a really good extended family story. Really, really young and up, I would say. So yeah. Those are my quick.
And I'm just going to do one myself because my kids are this is my son's favorite book of the year, which is No Reading Aloud. This book is entirely about homophones and homonyms. And so it's the same terms over and over, but they are spelled different ways. Here is one of the crazier examples. It says, we see the Queen's Borough thanks to our anthill. Oh, all right. We see the Queensboro thanks to our Ant Hill. My kid cannot get enough of this book. Now, maybe my kid is weird, but it is a very funny book. Like, this is my favorite one. This is just ridiculous. My Navy father had blue jeans. My mother was well read. They marooned me. My Navy father had blue jeans. My mother was, well, red. They marooned me. Just like, this is by the same guys who did P is for Pterodactyl, the worst alphabet book ever. So this is the worst read aloud book ever. I love these books. So just want to shout that one out too. And I guess that brings us to the end. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Brian, for letting me be a part of your presentations. They are always so much fun to watch you talk about these books. And thank you so much, Martha Meyer, for handling all the chat and the thing and the waiting room and all that fun stuff.
There's one thing that someone wrote in that needs an answer. It used to be at this presentation that Laura Antolin would provide a certificate for those teachers that would like to have one. Laura, I don't think is in this email, in this chat. So feel free to email me. I'm msmeyer@cityofevanston.org, and I will take care of finding out if we can still get certificates.
Yep, and she put that in the chat. So in case you need to see it written down, you can just copy and paste it there. And yeah, thank you guys all for coming.
Well, thanks, Martha, for doing that. And thank you, everyone. Thank you again. Thanks, Betsy. You're just a joy to present with, a joy to talk about books with. And Martha, and there I saw Mr. Rick back with Ms. Martha. Hi, Mr. Rick, who got this kind of ball rolling over a decade ago. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for your kind words and saying hello. And
and shout out to Zeta Elliott and Cosby Cabrera, who were both in watching this.
Yes.
That was very cool. Yes. Thank you, guys. Your books are amazing.
Thank you so much for, it was so, I saw you in the chat. Yeah, thank you for your books. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your great books, Cosby. Thank you for your great books, Zeta. Thank you.